Madam Speaker, the most Honorable Prime Minister a few weeks ago asked that members cut the public cascas with regards to the Integrity Commission and asked that anything we have to say should be done within the confines of the Parliament, since the Commission is a Commission of Parliament. As you are aware, Madam, I have been unfairly treated by the Integrity Commission of Jamaica. I have been treated with bias, malice, and contempt. The Integrity Commission did an investigation into the issuance of firearm licenses and reviews done by ministers of national security between 2012 and 2018. They could not find one instance where I broke the law. They could not find any abuse of power. They could not find any action resulting from bribery or fraud, and they did not name me in their final recommendations. They made no recommendations for any actions against me. They made no recommendation for me to be referred to any other investigative body or agency. Madam Speaker, significantly, the Integrity Commission could not get a ruling against me from their own Director of Corruption Prosecution. The reasons are that there was no corrupt act by me, therefore the report did not reach the standard set in law, which says, and I quote, "This act, unless the context otherwise requires, an act of corruption Commission Act of 2017. As you will note, the standard is wide but low, and the report could not satisfy the standard. This report should have been rejected. It should not even have been laid in Parliament. On the 7th of June 2023, I called for a meeting of your Oversight Committee in an address to this Parliament. I have written asking for a meeting of the committee. I spoke again on the 14th of June asking for a meeting, and I am calling for a meeting of the committee so that they can consider the report and act appropriately. Madam Speaker, since I spoke twice in this House, rightfully criticizing the actions of the Integrity Commission, I have received an email letter from the Commission requesting additional information on my 2018 to 2022 returns. Then I got another email withdrawing the request. Then, as usual, I got another email with more requests. And Madam Speaker, the second letter was also withdrawn and replaced. But careful reading of the third letter tells me that that too will be withdrawn. 3 letters, and they can't get it right. All because, Madam Speaker, I spoke up for myself, I spoke up for the teachers, the nurses, the doctors, the police, the soldiers, the civil and public servants. Madam Speaker, they are trying to scare me. They are trying to shut me up, and they are hell-bent on destroying me. Madam Speaker, it seems as if there is a witch hunt out on me. I understand that they are planning, Madam Speaker, to raid my house. I have no problem or objection. Madam Speaker, a person from a media house has asked around in my community exactly where I live, because they are coming to cover a raid by the Commission at my house. If this planned raid is a fact, is this an abuse or a misuse of power? Luckily, Madam Speaker, my mother taught me to pray, and my constituents. They taught me never to tell my God how big my problems are, rather to tell my problems how big my God is. The Integrity Commission is abusing its powers. Any reasonable person would expect that if an annual report is made in 2018 and a request not made for additional information, and you made a return in 2019, in 2020, in 2021, and in 2022, is it reasonable to ask 4 years later? Madam Speaker, no matter what I supply them, the die is cast. I publicly criticize them, then I must be taught a lesson. They are going to continue asking for information and then, of course, charge me just before or close to an election. That's my opinion. They are above criticism. If you criticize,
Madam Speaker,
they will come after you.
Madam Speaker, on a point of order, I think what is happening here is most improper. Conjecture about future acts which haven't occurred, raiding of houses, releasing of reports before a general election, pure speculation. This is not the purpose of a personal statement, and it should not be allowed.
So, opposition leader, because the section allows for no debate, I will not be able to allow any debate. However, member, equally, I specifically ensure that I read the section for the House. This personal statement should not be a controversial one. Are you almost finished? I was thinking it would have been a pleasure to have seen the personal statement before it was read, but I have not seen it. Are you almost finished?
A couple more minutes, Madam Speaker.
Please, member, remember.
Thank you, Madam.
Non-controversial.
Thank you, Madam. Madam Speaker, my comments are not controversial. They may be viewed at that by others. Madam Speaker, the report laid in March 2022, the Integrity Commission has publicly advised me to seek a judicial review. That is very well. But Part 56, subsection 1 of the Supreme Court Civil Rules state in part, and I quote, an application for leave to apply for judicial review must be made promptly and in any event within 3 months from the date when the grounds for the application first arose. End of quote. Even if the court is minded to grant an extension, which at times they do, most times it's mainly on medical grounds. So, Madam Speaker, not even good free legal advice they are willing to give me. The report basically claims that I gave persons with adverse traces gun license, and they have sought to condemn and destroy me for following the law, which states, and I quote, the minister, upon receipt and consideration of recommendations of the review board, shall give the authority such directions as the minister may think fit. Section 38, subsection 3 of the Firearms Act. This was reinforced by a Court of Appeal decision in November 2021, Ivy versus the FLA. But, Madam Speaker, I'm being condemned for following the law. The St. James Parish Court, Madam, confirmed that a gentleman appeared before it in the Western Regional Gun Court in September 2016 and was found guilty for illegal possession of firearm and was fined $1 million or 2 years imprisonment. And on the second count of assault was fined $500,000 or 6 months. The Firearm Licensing Authority rightfully revoked the firearm of the person in question, as they do for everybody. A few years later, the said person appealed. The review board, in treating with this case of a convicted criminal on the charge of illegal possession of firearm, said in a letter, and I quote, the review board recommends that the decision of the authority in respect of the revocation be set aside. Madam, this person is not of questionable character. This person is a convicted criminal in a court of law. The review board, Madam, has discretion in the law. When they exercise their discretion, it is fine. But when a minister exercises discretion, it is corrupt. Madam, something is not right. Madam Speaker, I have stood up for myself, and I'm standing up for all decent law-abiding citizens who I have called for them to get a weapon if they so desire. Farmers, policemen, teachers have all been turned down, but yet a convicted convicted criminal, not of questionable character, convicted criminal. Madam Speaker, there seems to be one rule for some and another rule for others. It seems as if this world is not level. Madam Speaker, another matter, another case. A media house carried a story of a Jamaican caught in an international drug ring in 2010 that involved police from Panama, Costa Rica, the United States, and our Jamaican police. Cocaine, heroin, ganja was being shipped from Jamaica in containers, endangering the good name of legitimate exporters and threatened the earnings of the nation. The activities to break this ring took 3 years of hard work, and the raid at the time found drugs valued at US $6 million. The Firearm Licensing Authority revoked a gun permit as a result of the information, and the review board said, and I quote, "There has been an allegation that the applicant is involved in drug trafficking." And quote, "The revocation of the license was done on the mere say-so of the National Intelligence Bureau. This is most unsatisfactory. The review board recommends that the revocation order be set aside and that the firearm user status of the applicant be restored." Madam Speaker, can you believe that? The intelligence arm of this country is being dismissed. There are thousands of Jamaicans who have their gun applications turned down because of an adverse trace from the NIB, yet the review board in a letter is saying you can't do that on the mere say-so of the NIB. The question must be asked, why? Madam Speaker, in closing, all I am asking for is equity. Equity before the law. Because, Madam Speaker, the law, the Integrity Act says, and I quote, "The Commission shall act independently, impartially, fairly, and in the public's interest." Madam Speaker, did the Integrity Commission in my treatment act independently? Were they influenced by some unseen or unknown equity or person? Madam Speaker, did they act impartially towards me? Did they act fairly towards me? Did they act, Madam Speaker, in your interest? Do you feel that the Integrity Commission will treat you or anyone you know fairly or equitably? Did the Integrity Commission act in the public interest? Madam Speaker, if you are any reasonable Jamaican, answer no to any of these questions, then it is clear that the Commission has not acted in the public interest, and they should do the decent thing and withdraw the report. I again renew my call for a meeting of the Oversight Committee to consider the March 2022 Integrity Report and act appropriately. Madam Speaker, Jamaica needs an anti-corruption body. We really do. We need one that every nurse, police, soldier, security guard, civil and public servant can trust. We need one that does not unduly or unfairly treat a citizen of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, I urge you to set a date quickly because I need to clear my name. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
House Leader.
Madam Speaker, the